out the door 15 minutes before the police came. If she didn't want to be with you no more, she wanted to live her life. She was also carrying a baby, and God should punish you for that. Now I'm going to miss my daughter and my grandchild that she was carrying. You should get punished the same way you punished her.
It's your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 times, and I'm back with another video. In this episode of Hood Tales, let's take it to Milwaukee, Wisconsin to unpack the tragic story of a 21-year-old male who was living with his baby mother and her family until they discovered his horrifying secret. But before we get into this video, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Turn your notifications on so you don't miss any future uploads. Stay tuned until the end of the video to hear the whole story. Everything in this video is alleged. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. They say some people carry a light so bright it warms everyone in the room. In Milwaukee's North Side, that light was 22-year-old Glattis Johnson. To her family, she wasn't just a daughter or a sister. She was a quiet and kind soul who never looked for trouble. Her aunt would later say that Glattis had a way of lifting people's spirits without even trying. If you were upset, she could calm you down. If you were overwhelmed, she could ground you. She was the light in our family, her aunt said. And that light mattered even more because Glattis's family had already experienced unimaginable loss on New Year's Eve in 1992, a painful history involving a fire that had taken the lives of Glattis's two older brothers who were just 4 and 2 years old at the time. Decades later, the family had never stopped hurting, but Glattis represented healing, renewal, and joy. Glattis was at a beautiful crossroads in her life. She had just celebrated her graduation and was looking forward to a future she was building brick by brick for her family. But her biggest pride and joy? That was being a mother. She was a devoted mother to a 3-year-old daughter, a little girl who was already learning her ABCs and how to spell, and the excitement in the home was growing because Glattis was 5 months pregnant. She was expecting a baby boy, and she spent her days teaching her daughter exactly what it meant to be a big sister. She was a woman who put family first. A woman whose last Christmas was filled with the simple, pure joy of watching her daughter open gifts. She was happy, she was hopeful, she was loved. But every light has the potential to be eclipsed, and at the center of Glattis's life, for better or worse, was Cameron Washington. 21-year-old Cameron was Glattis's boyfriend and the father of her 3-year-old daughter and unborn son. Cameron was living with Glattis and her family in their home near 26th and Hadley. To some in the family, he may have seemed like a nice man initially, but beneath that surface, there were deep, troubling factors. Relatives would later recall that the couple had a history of intense friction. In fact, Glattis had moved back with her mother specifically because of past threats. According to family members, Glattis wanted to end the relationship with Cameron, but Cameron wasn't so willing to let Glattis go. Her aunt Josie would later reflect on the heartbreaking reality many young women face, the silent struggle of a relationship that has turned from a partnership into a cage, and Glattis was desperately trying to escape. The morning of January 5th started like any other, but as the hours ticked by, a heavy, unsettling silence settled over the second floor of the Johnson home. The last time Glattis's mother, Michelle, saw her daughter alive was at 11 a.m. After that, Glattis vanished behind her bedroom door. For the rest of the afternoon, Glattis didn't come out of her bedroom. She didn't respond to calls. She didn't answer texts. Family members knocked on the door throughout the day, again and again, but Cameron would not allow anyone inside. Each time someone asked to see Glattis, Cameron insisted she was sleeping. He would say, "She's asleep. Don't wake her. She's resting." But the explanations didn't match the reality. Glattis was a mother. She didn't sleep all day. She didn't ignore her child. She didn't isolate herself from her family, especially not while pregnant. As the afternoon turned to evening, the family's concern began to spiral. They hadn't seen Glattis all day. They hadn't heard her voice. Around 8:40 p.m., after some food was delivered to the house, the family started knocking. They wanted to see her, to talk to her, to make sure she was okay. But Cameron stood guard at that door. His behavior was beyond suspicious. It was haunting. He blocked the entrance, telling the family, "No, you're not getting in here." He insisted Glattis was just sleeping and shouldn't be woken up. At one point, he even went back into the room and pretended to have a conversation with her. Though the family noticed one chilling detail, they never heard Glattis respond. When he finally emerged briefly after 9 p.m., he had a concerned facial expression, whispering to Glattis's sister, "Please be quiet, mommy's sleeping." Just after 11 p.m., the tension reached a breaking point. Michelle had had enough. She told Cameron he had to leave the house. This demand seemed to snap something inside of him. According to the family, he produced a mid-sized black and tan firearm, brandishing it at Michelle and her daughter Kayla. In a terrifying moment, he allegedly tried to discharge the weapon, but he seemed unfamiliar with how it worked, fumbling with the mechanics. Terrified, the family scrambled. Michelle barricaded herself in a room and dialed 911. That's when the smell hit them. Not just the scent of a firearm, but the acrid, choking scent of smoke. Michelle caught a glimpse of Cameron running out of the house as the second floor began to glow with heat. While most of the 6 people in the house fled for safety, including Glattis's 3-year-old daughter and a 6-month-old infant, Michelle's motherly instinct took over. She ran toward the smoke. She forced open the locked bedroom door and found a nightmare. The closet was actively ablaze, and Glattis was lying on the bed, unresponsive. Despite the heat and the danger, Michelle tried to pull her daughter to safety, but she couldn't get her all the way out. Glattis was cold to the touch. Michelle closed the closet door in an attempt to contain the flames. She threw water on the curtains to stop it from burning. She stayed with her daughter as long as she could. Police arrived shortly after 11:30 p.m. Officers observed flames coming from a second-story window. Inside the bedroom, they found Glattis unconscious on the mattress. Despite emergency efforts, she was pronounced gone at the scene just after midnight. As fire crews and police swarmed the scene, Cameron Washington was nowhere to be found, at least not at the house. But he didn't get far. An observant officer spotted a man matching his description boarding a Milwaukee County bus heading northbound. Police followed the bus, watched him get off a few blocks away, and moved in. In his left front pants pocket, they found a single lighter. The investigation inside the room revealed a grim scene. In the closet, detectives found burned clothing piled on top of a partially melted .22 caliber rifle. There were no electrical issues, no accidental sources of heat. This was a fire started by a human hand. Officers noted multiple visible injuries on Glattis's body, bruising on her arms, neck, and face, blood from her nose, and petechia around her eye, a sign often associated with restricted breathing. A detective later noted that since Glattis's body was cold to the touch, it gave the impression she had been unresponsive for some time before the fire began. Cameron was taken into custody and appeared in court on January 11th. He currently faces a litany of serious charges, including arson, multiple counts of first-degree recklessly endangering safety, and intentionally pointing a firearm. While the medical examiner has officially categorized the passing of Glattis as a homicide due to the evidence of asphyxia and multiple physical injuries, additional charges are still pending as the final reports are completed. Cameron's bond was set between $100,000 and $200,000, reflecting the gravity of the night's events. Prosecutors say he could face more than 50 years in prison if convicted on all counts. His preliminary hearing is scheduled for January 20th. Cameron Washington is innocent until proven guilty. May Glattis Johnson Ball and her unborn son rest in peace. My deepest condolences and sympathies to the family. I send them my well wishes during this very difficult time. The tragedy of Glattis Johnson is compounded by the heartbreaking historical echo of how her brothers lost their lives. Almost 33 years to the day before this incident, Michelle Johnson lost two of her sons in a different fire. To now lose a daughter and an unborn grandson in a similar manner is a level of grief most cannot fathom. And while the courts will determine accountability, Glattis's family is left with memories, unanswered questions, and a 3-year-old child who will grow up knowing her mother only through stories. This story is a stark reminder of the chaos and confusion that can hide behind closed doors. It serves as a plea from the Johnson family to the community. If you are in a situation where you feel unsafe, speak out. Don't be ashamed. Glattis was a woman who was the light of her family, and while that light was cruelly extinguished on January 5th, family is determined to make sure her story and the story of her unborn son is never forgotten. Sadly, this appears to be another example of if he can't have her, no one will, even if it means the children suffer and he will possibly spend the rest of his life behind bars. Fam, what are your thoughts on this story? Let me know in the comments below. Alright fam, that's it for this episode of Hood Tales. Thank you so much for watching. If this story moved you, consider liking and sharing. Subscribe for more stories like this and for the stories behind the headlines, because behind them all are lives forever changed. This is your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 times. Until next time.